Good day, it's Monday, and the beginning of a new week. Well, nearly the beginning of a new month, and I hope all is well. You know, one of the big problems in the world today is stress. Stress happens when the burdens of life become just so much you can't bear them. If you take the stick, for example, you put pressure, a little bit of pressure, you can cope. But the more pressure, and eventually, unless you're careful, it'll crack. And that's what happens to human beings as well. The stress becomes so difficult. There are all kinds of stresses. I just want to mention a few today. For example, the stress of shame and of guilt, or when people are feeling tremendous temptation and they're feeling so bad and they feel that they've done wrong and they're not right, and that bears down upon them. You've got the stress that comes from fear and anxiety. What's going to happen to my finances? What's going to happen to my health? What's going to happen to my future? Where is this all going? And those burdens of anxiety that put stress upon us, and we feel physically ill sometimes because of it. Also, struggling relationships, things are not good at home or with our friendships, and we're feeling as though we're not coping, and all the happiness is run out of our lives because someone is treating us so badly, and those relationships need some kind of repair. Also, there's the stress that comes from grief and bereavement, particularly at this time when so many people have died, even in our own church, and we've had to face the sadness of losing people who are near and who were dear to us. That's a burden. There's the burden of pain and of illness, where suddenly our bodies change and we've got to cope with things that are happening in our bodies that are extremely difficult. We're feeling unwell, we're feeling weak, we're feeling the pain. And then just one more is that this feeling of failure. We tried something and the whole thing fell to pieces, and people are disappointed in us. We hoped that it will all work out, but it hasn't, and now we don't feel as though we're worth anything. And those stresses bear upon us. But you know, Jesus has a recipe for this. And I'd like to read you that wonderful verse in Matthew chapter 11 and verse 28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. What is Jesus saying to us there? Is this just simplistic? Is this real? Well, the first thing he says is, come to me. Take whatever you have to Jesus. Turn to him, as hard as it may be, and as skeptical as you might be because life has gone badly. Come to him. Turn to him. Speak to him about what's on your mind and what's on your heart. Also, he says, come to me all, everyone, and that includes you. Even though you might think your burdens aren't as big as other people's, come to Jesus with them. Come. And then he says, and I will give you rest. That sense of peace and calm in your soul, that peace that comes with trusting in him. Jesus wants you to be at rest. He doesn't want anxious disciples. He often said to his disciples, why are you afraid? I'm here. And he says that to us as well. He wants to give us rest. And then he says, take my yoke upon you, because my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now, a yoke is an implement that's put across two oxen when they're pulling a cart. They're both pulling. But Jesus says, take my yoke upon you. In other words, let's face this together and let me carry the weight. So if it is a burden of shame, if it is a burden of fear, if it's a burden of grief, of pain, give it to him. Give it to him. Because what will happen is that he will take the burden and you will be under the yoke, but the weight will be lifted off you. The weight will be lifted because he is carrying the weight. My yoke is easy. My burden is light, he says. Because I am gentle. Jesus deals with us compassionately and gently. He understands and appreciates our frailty. We are made of dust, and he deals gently with us. And so if there are burdens that you're carrying at this time, if there are difficulties that you're facing, well, Matthew 11:28 teaches us that Jesus is the one who can lift them. The burden doesn't go away. The issue doesn't go away, but he's carrying it. And we can trust him to guide us and to help us into the way forward. There's always a way with Jesus. No dead ends. God bless you. Take special care of yourself. This virus is more active than it's ever been. Wash your hands. Keep your distance and wear your masks. God bless.